What is up, YouTube? Going live on YouTube for the first time ever. Today, we are going to be doing a best ball SuperFlex mock draft, and we're going to be walking through that. So we are doing that over on Sleeper. So let me get this started with everyone that's in it, and we're going to kind of just analyze. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me any questions in the chat. Would be happy to answer any dynasty or redraft related questions. So let me get this thing started, and then we'll go from there. How are you guys all doing tonight? Doing good? So let me share my screen so you guys can all see the goodness happening, and we will go from here. Like I said, first stream ever, so super excited to be here talking some fantasy football. Boom, and we are off. Jonathan Taylor goes at the 101. Interesting strategy for a SuperFlex mock. Let me zoom this in a little bit more so you guys can see. Perfect. Let's get it going. Analyzing this draft for sure. It's interesting as you kind of get into the SuperFlex mocks, seeing exactly who's going and things along that nature. So
wow.
we got Josh Allen. Probably should have gone at the 101, but there he goes at the 102. We got Sauce Man here at the 1-3. Can't imagine what he's going to do, but we'll see.
Wow.
There he goes. Joe Burrow at the 1-3. Kind of crazy.
Wow.
Justin Herbert there at the 1-4. Jamar Chase at the 1-5. Interesting. Patrick Mahomes is falling. So I don't know. I feel like Jamar Chase, if I had to do my rankings right now, Jonathan Taylor, it's hard because in best ball you get that advantage. But I think I posted on TikTok earlier talking a little bit how I have CMC over Jonathan Taylor, especially for redraft purposes. So I probably would have taken Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes as my top two quarterbacks here for redraft. But I guess I'll go with Jamar Chase. I like that pick for X-Bagger. Patrick Mahomes, getting him at the 1-6. Trevor, good on you. That was the pick I would have taken if I was at the 1-2, the 1-3, or the 1-4. The fact that he fell to you at the 1-6, what a steal. It's moving pretty good so far. So anyway, feel free. Like I said, this is not just me drafting and giving my analysis on these picks. I'm also here to answer any questions that you might have for redraft or dynasty fantasy football. I just started my YouTube channel about a week ago, so would appreciate any thoughts, insights, Would love to help you out, especially as we are heading into that season, going into that dynasty and redraft football season. It's just good to have football back. Really good to have football back. Cooper Kupp at the 1-7. Probably would have taken him earlier. Ooh, Jones with sniping me with Christian McCaffrey right in front of me. This is really interesting. We are playing SuperFlex, so it's kind of hard to know what to do here because you do have a bunch of options. Justin Jefferson's there. So right now it's really between Justin Jefferson and Kyler Murray for me. I know neither of these are going to get back to me at the next pick, so I'm trying to. And it's not tight end premium, so I don't have to worry about that. I think right now I'm going to do something that I don't typically do, and I'm going to go Justin Jefferson. I just think Justin Jefferson has that same type of upside that Jamar Chase has, but at the same time, he is playing in an offense with Kirk Cousins that's really amazing, and they got the new offensive coordinator, and they're going to continue to just put those pieces around him. So that's why I have Justin Jefferson a little bit higher, especially in redraft. He's my wide receiver 2. I guess you got to still have Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 1, but Justin Jefferson is my wide receiver 2. My little brother there, Nimi, picking up Kyler Murray with the 111. I think that's a great pickup, especially for him. So interesting to see what falls back. Here, strategy-wise, I mean, we are, like I said, we are playing Superflex, so I would love for another quarterback to fall to me. I don't think that's going to happen, and so I really have to start evaluating what kind of positions and what those advantages might be, especially when you're in the back half of a redraft Superflex league and you got to think about the quarterbacks. Yeah, so Dak was going. I was thinking Dak might be one of my next picks. I mean, you have Russell Wilson, you do have Jalen Hurts, and this is redraft, so those guys do have that higher upside than maybe they would in Dynasty. But I do think that, they're there. They're there for sure. I'm trying to think on the fly what I'm going to do here with my next pick, because you do have a bunch of running backs still available, like a Derrick Henry, a Dalvin Cook. Najee Harris goes. Eli is killing it with his draft so far. I think I'm right here. You don't really have the what do I want to do? I think I have Derrick Henry still as a first-round grade, even if it is Superflex. So that is where I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I typically do not fade quarterbacks in these Superflex leagues, but I'm going to do that this time and see how my team turns out. So then we have, after Derrick Henry, we have Russell Wilson at the 2-4. Then we have Travis Kelsey at the 2-5. Travis Kelsey, of course, is going to be getting all the targets there in Kansas City. So as we kind of look and project that forward, what is that going to look like? He's probably going to be the tight end 1 again, as long as no injuries occur. And that's going to be super exciting, as if, you own Patrick Mahomes like I do in a bunch of dynasty leagues. But even if you're playing redraft, I'm surprised he didn't go earlier. I know this is not tight end premium, so that is probably another reason why he didn't go at the end of the first. But Travis Kelsey, elite level wide receiver 1, but you get to put him in your tight end spot. Jalen Hurts, of course, goes at the 2-6. That was someone that I was considering at the 2-3. It's looking like quarterbacks are going fairly often, and that's what typically happens in these redraft Superflex League mock drafts. Dalvin Cook goes at the 2-7. That was another person that was in consideration at the 2-3. Dalvin Cook, it gets to this. I know I drafted Derrick Henry, so I'm against drafting these running backs once they get past the age of 26. So this is like really hypocritical for me to say after I just drafted Derrick Henry at the 2-3. But the thing that I have to constantly remember when we're doing this is that these guys are falling off the cliff super early and often as they are doing these, as they are, becoming older. And so as fantasy football players, we have to keep that in mind, especially as we're doing a redraft. In Dynasty, you don't necessarily have to be thinking. In Dynasty, you do have to be thinking about the ageism. You have to be thinking ahead of the curve. So you want those Devonte Williams, you want the Jonathan Taylors. But at the same time, when you're looking and playing in redraft, we're doing 1 year at a time. And you just hope that Derrick Henry, like for me, I think Derrick Henry has that top 5 upside. I think he'll be like running back 3 or 4 this year. And so that's why I'm taking him, even though I do know this might be the last year that he's at that elite level. So let's go through who just went off the board. So we had Joe Mixon go at the 2-8, CeeDee Lamb at the 2-9, and Stephon Diggs at the 2-10. I think this draft is even just reminding me that I want one of those early picks. So if you're in a redraft league, you want some of those early picks because you do get that high level asset, even if you're only playing in like a 1 quarterback league, getting those assets in the 1-1 to 1-6. And then of course, getting the back end seconds to then the early thirds. I think that's so valuable to just build your team. You have 3 studs that then you can build your team off of, and you can kind of go from there. Because especially like you're like me right now, when you're at the 110 and you have Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry, you don't know who's necessarily going to fall, and it's probably not going to be a stud. So those are the kind of issues that you start to run into. And so that is one of the reasons why I got Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry, because I knew that the wide receiver options and the running back options, once I got to about the 310, were not going to be as good as what I may think. And we'll see. Maybe I'll punt quarterback. I don't know. maybe I'll punt quarterback. But like I said, this is just a best ball league, so not thinking too strongly about this. But I am playing with some friends and some randoms, so that's all that matters. Matthew Stafford goes at the 212. Matthew Stafford, what is he going to do this year? They added Allen Robinson. They, of course, won the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be an exciting time for Matthew Stafford to just continue his legacy past being on the Detroit Lions. So I'm excited to see what happens, especially with what's going to happen with Odell Beckham. I know they lost out on, they're finally going to have Cam Akers back with the run game. Darrell Henderson's still there. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to say the least. So, hey, I got 3 viewers in the house. I'm pretty sure it's my brother and Jordan and anyone, and maybe Trevor. So if you guys are here, would appreciate if you guys would leave a comment, leave a like, as well as, just ask me any questions. If you're watching the draft, is there any values that you're seeing that you're like, that's kind of crazy, I would have taken this player over that player? Definitely would appreciate that. Nick Chubb going to 3-1, a little early for me for Nick Chubb, even for redraft. I would have taken Javonte, Saquon, Aaron Jones, even Lenny, playoff Lenny, big boy Lenny, beefy Lenny over Nick Chubb for sure. I think the reason too, I should probably explain why I have Nick Chubb over these guys is just because, or not Nick Chubb, but I just behind these guys is mainly for the fact that he just doesn't have that receiving work upside. We know what happens, especially if Kareem Hunt gets hurt. All of a sudden, Dearness Johnson slides in, and Nick Chubb just kind of remains the same. He's probably one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. He's just not one of the most talented fantasy running backs in the NFL, and that's why I have him. Aaron Rodgers going at the 3-3. Sauceman is absolutely destroying this. Madden pick 6. I love the team so far. I have Saquon Barkley a lot higher than what I think the average redraft or even fantasy analyst might have. So that is why I have Saquon Barkley there. But I can't believe he fell to you at the 3-4. Devontae Adams at the 3-5. So Trevor is on the clock, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here with Trevor. But yeah, we're going to keep just grinding, especially as we are looking at the rest of this draft. I think the other player that is really interesting, of course, is all these wide receivers switching positions. So you have of course, Devontae Adams switching, Tyreek Hill switching positions. So it's interesting to me to see how those guys are going to perform, especially we've known Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver 1. He's got that boom bust potential on a weekly basis, but now, of course, gets the downgrade in quarterback play. What's going to happen to him? Aaron Jones going off at the 3-7. I was hoping that maybe he would fall to me. I don't necessarily know exactly which way I'm going to be taking this right now, because I could continue to punt quarterback and hope this works out, or I could, I don't know. This is interesting. There's some good receivers available. It is always nice to lock in that tight end, especially in one of these leagues. But I think the other thing with best ball is you can take those shots at the later end tight ends to potentially then not have to worry about the tight end position, because you can just have 2 or 3 so-so guys. Then you just hope that one goes off, one catches a touchdown and gets that 10 points. Trey Lance going at the 3-8. Of course, Jordan loves his boy Trey Lance. He's probably worried that I was thinking about him. Oh, Debo Samuel off the board. Now it is up to me right now. I'm looking at a lot of guys. I don't see a ton of upside in any of them. And so I am going to just continue to ride the wide receiver and running back train. Right now, it's between Kyle Pitts for me, A.J. Brown, and I'm going to say Javonte Williams and Lenny. Play off Lenny. Yeah, there's a ton of good running backs still available. But I'm going to go with Javonte just to continue on in getting those stud running backs that will then hopefully, as I know a lot of these guys get injured, but hopefully hold down my team. And hopefully we'll see what happens here. Like I said, I'm punting quarterback, so it's always a risky strategy once you do that. But a good old Nemi's on the board, takes Kyle Pitts. I was between Kyle Pitts there too. Good pick up for Eli. He's got Kyler Murray, Najee Harris, and Kyle Pitts. Good upside, but also mixed with some consistency that'll really help him out. Then we had Mike Evans go off the board and Tom Brady. Brontosaurus got that stack. I also like that in best ball, especially stacking some of your receivers with your quarterbacks so that those peak games really impact you on a weekly basis, because that is the one difference between redraft and best ball. We're not sitting our lineups, so you want that upside, that premium upside that then happens, and that is another reason why I like that pick. I do think Tom Brady at the 4-1 is a little early, though. But at the same time, I'm over here just punting quarterback, so I think, am I the only one? No. X. Gregor is is the other only team that hasn't selected a quarterback yet. So this is what happens. Everyone gets all quarterback happy, and then you kind of wish. Okay, Breece Hall, I did like that pick, Eli. Really did like that pick. But like I said, it's just fallen into the hands. Give me good old A.J. Brown. The upside is absolutely there. If he was the wide receiver 1 on this team, would not be upset. But the fact that I have Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, and Javonte Williams feeling really good about those core pieces. Travis Etienne there at the 4-4. Do like me some Travis Etienne. Jordan playing it really interesting with Alvin Kamara. Don't know what's happening with that suspension. Then we have D-Mac with Lenny Fournette. We don't know if Lenny's actually going to be in shape. He's looking like me after COVID, gaining 15 pounds. So don't know exactly what's happening out there with good old playoff Lenny, but he's hopefully going to become that same RB1. And I think a lot of people think he's old, but he's only 26, which I did say in Dynasty makes you a little bit worried. But for redraft, I know that this year he's going to still get a lot of that receiving work. I know they did draft Rashad White, but I think that upside is still going to be there because at the end of the day, Mike Evans is the only one that is really in that offense. Rob Gronkowski, he retired. Chris Godwin's still coming off injury. We don't know what's going to happen there. So I think the Mike Evans and Lenny Fournette are the players to own there in the Tampa Bay offense as we kind of move forward. Then we have Kenyan Allen and James Conner off the board. James Conner, I don't know what to necessarily think about him. I think at the 4-8 in a best ball redraft league is great. But the other fact of the matter is that he had 20 touchdowns last season. Is that going to be can he replicate that this season? I don't know, especially with all the extra offensive weapons they added this season. And if you look, the only thing that he did last year was score those touchdowns. He was having those 2 to 3 touchdown games, which is making him an absolute monster. Makes me a little bit nervous going into this year because I like to see the volume. I don't necessarily love to rely on the players that score the touchdowns unless we're talking about Mike Evans. Now, Michael Pittman goes at 4-9. Hype is out of control for Michael Pittman Jr. Everyone's expecting big things with Matt Ryan. Don't know necessarily what's going to happen going forward. Past that, but like I said, we're playing best ball. We're playing redraft. So for this year, we're just hoping Michael Pittman takes that next step. He had that sophomore year breakout, but will he become that superstar wide receiver that everyone's like almost expecting for him to become in fantasy? I don't know. But at the 4-9, it's good value when you already have CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley, and Justin Herbert in the fold. David Montgomery at 4-10. There's a ton of other running backs I would have preferred to take over David Montgomery. Has absolutely no upside. Dude is your prototypical just like show up and he's there kind of guy. I would have taken Zeke, would have taken Cam Akers. I even would have taken Antonio Gibson over David Montgomery. Bold to say, but the offense is going to be so bad there in the Chicago area with the poor old Justin Fields. I love me some Justin Fields. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks, as an Ohio State fan, but he is getting absolutely blasted with no weapons there in Chicago, and I don't know what they're doing. So David Montgomery is going down the board. T. Higgins at 4-11. What a steal there for Casey. Great. I think T. Higgins has a wide receiver 1 upside, even though he is the wide receiver 2 on his team. It doesn't matter because the Bengals are absolutely killing it. And that is something that we have to think about. The Bengals know what they're doing. And besides Jamar Chase, there has to be someone else to throw the ball to. They got rid of C.J. Uzomah this offseason, so there's going to be a lot more targets to go around. And they even mentioned that they're not going to be throwing the ball as much to Joe Mixon, so that's also another interesting take. So T. Higgins, all aboard the T. Higgins train. Derek Carr at the 4-12. You might know I might be getting a little bit nervous about quarterback right now, but it's okay because I think I'm just going to continue to punt it. It's SuperFlex, but at the end of the day, what's the difference between a Derek Carr and a Jameis Winston? Not much. So, yeah. Anyway, 2 viewers right now. I think I might also be one of them. So whoever else it is, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you stopping in. Appreciate the support. Those are all things that matter to me. So, thanks so much for stopping by. Oh, if you have a joke or anything too, hit me up with the jokes. I'm a big laughing guy, so hit me up. But yeah, let's continue to grind as we're doing this redraft, mock draft, not mock draft, it's an actual draft. But Allen Robinson there at the 5-1, great pairing with Matthew Stafford. You get the best ball stack. Big week games, you're just praying that if you own Allen Robinson that he does not throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. But that is why last year was optimal. If somehow you drafted Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, there were weeks where they both went off or only one went off. And if you were doing best ball, that even though it's not conducive to draft people on the same team, would have been really nice as you looked forward and you saw either of those guys went off. Okay, Ezekiel at the 5-2, George Kittle at the 5-3. Love that Zeke pick. Casey Great is absolutely killing this draft right now. Having Swift, Elliott as his running backs. He's got the Mark Andrews like that. This is another reason why being in the top 5 to 6 picks of drafts is so valuable. It used to not be as valuable, but now it is absolutely valuable with the depth that is here in this fantasy football draft. Trevor's on the board. So we got Dalton Schultz goes off, and then Kirk Cousins. And so it'll be interesting to see what Trevor does right here. Probably needs another running back, but we shall see. And I don't even know necessarily what I should do for my team. If you're here watching, like, feel free to let me know what I should do. Who are we looking at getting right here? I'm thinking, looking at my team, I'm either thinking quarterback, running back, or tight end, depending on what falls. There's some decent running backs that are still there that, like, it just feels good to snipe someone. And there's also some really high upside wide receivers still available. Tight end, I think I can still punt tight end. I used to be a big tight end guy. Like, I used to love having a Travis Kelsey or George Kittle. But after last year, I got burned by George Kittle. And I know it's just because of injuries, but there's just this, like, part of me that's like, I wish I would have drafted another position. And so right now, when we're looking at this, I don't want to get sniped. So I'm kind of going to be quiet for a second. I really hope. What up, Dustin Mac? Dude, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. I just started this YouTube channel like 2 weeks ago. So trying to grind on the content and provide fantasy football value. Like, I got this, like, I need to figure out my, like, actual streaming setup. And we'll go from, now I'm on the clock. I'm thinking I don't want tight end. Darren Waller was kind of in the play, but this is redraft too. So quarterback wise, I can probably, I know what I want to do quarterback wise, but it's going to be real risky here. I think I'm going to go, I think running back's the play. And I think right now we're, like, shooting for upside. You know what? No. I'm going to wait on running back because there's a few that I like. And I am going to go DJ Moore because I think DJ Moore, with 160 targets he gets on a yearly basis, dude's going to be a high-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, and getting him at the 5'10" is crazy, but I know it is SuperFlex, so a little harder to evaluate. Usually these players get pushed down a little bit more. Eli going with Tua Tagovailoa as a second quarterback. I think that was a reach. I don't think Tua has any upside. Just got, like, a quarterback 2. Granted, my starting quarterbacks are going to be quarterback 2s, but I think there were some other positions that you might have been able to address a little bit more. But anyway, Dustin, what I was saying was, I'm definitely trying to put out more content, like putting up TikToks, YouTube Shorts, and then I think I'm going to be doing 2 to 3 like long form content videos a week. Just diving in. I've been doing fantasy football for now like 12 years. LaDainian Tomlinson was like the 101 the first year I started playing. So absolutely crazy that it's been that long, but just happy to be here, happy to be providing content, and glad that you joined this draft. Hopefully you don't beat me, but your team is looking pretty great here. So with the Cooper Kupp, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Jones, Lenny Fournette, Mike Williams. Honestly, that was an interesting pick. I think I would have taken Jalen Waddle and DJ Moore over Mike Williams, but I think the upside's incredible because at some point the torch is going to be passed from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams, and it might be this year. And I'm on the clock again. I'm just, like, chatting it up. Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton just both went, and now all the running backs that I wanted are still available. Quarterback is like a wasteland, so we'll see what happens here. I think I'm going to go. It's right now for me. It is between J.K. Dobbins, even though he is injured and he might start off on the pup. He's so good, and Cam Akers. I do not like Antonio Gibson. Jordan knows that. Antonio Gibson's never been on my radar, but Josh Jacobs also is a solid option. But I'm just going to go J.K. Dobbins because I'm shooting for upside. So now I'm looking at my team. I've absolutely demolished my I have my team kind of set up. I need some wide receivers. I need a tight end, and I do need a quarterback. But that is one of the best parts about when you do a build like this is you do have your 3 running backs, so you don't have to be so concerned about reaching for running backs. Because if you start to look, like, once we get past like Ken Walker, I mean, granted, it depends on how you feel about CH. It starts to get a little bit rough. And so that's another reason. But Jordan's on the clock. So we got Jerry Jeudy that went off. Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, a lot of drafts I've been doing recently have been getting drafted like very close to each other. I think I prefer Jeudy, but I think Cortland Sutton has the upside that like Jerry Jeudy might never touch. So if Cortland Sutton's DK Metcalf and Jerry Jeudy's Terry Lockett, a lot of us are going to be really happy. Jordan over here taking Cam Akers. Now, Jordan, I'm curious if J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers were there on the board for you, would you have taken J.K. Dobbins? Just really curious about that. Otherwise, I think it's a good pick. I think it's a good pick for you because of the fact that you waited on running backs and you still got Kamara and Cam Akers, and you got two really stud, high upside quarterbacks. I think that is huge. So, but this is kind of the point of the draft. Like DMAC, you just drafted Brandon Cooks. Dudes, I think Brandon Cooks is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL, just purely based on the fact that he's like a wide receiver 1 to high end wide receiver 2 every like season. But yeah, he gets drafted as like wide receiver 25 or wide receiver 30 like every season. Like you can get him as your flex most of the time. I'm curious on how you evaluate him because I think I would have taken DK Metcalf. I would have taken Cooper. I would have probably taken Chris Godwin, even knowing the fact that he's probably not going to play until week 9. And I probably would have taken Amon St. Brown. I probably would have taken those guys over Brandon Cooks. But it's not to say that Brandon Cooks might be the safer option, especially as he is your wide receiver 3. So talking about that like that, pretty cool. We got Antonio Gibson goes off 6'7", DK Metcalf at the 6'8", Miles Sanders way too early at the 6'9". Can't believe he went before Josh Jacobs. Clearly, Madden pick 6. I don't know if you saw him say that no one should draft him, but that's what he did say in an interview. He said no one should draft me in fantasy. So I'm going to take the man's word. If the man says don't draft me, not going to draft him. So Miles Sanders is a big X off my board. Josh Jacobs at the 6'10", great value. Mooney at the 6'11". I know we're shooting for upside here, but like I said, I think there's a few other options I would have chosen before him. But you know what? Good for you. And then we got Semper 03 on the clock. I think the other thing that has to happen too when you're like doing these like back-to-back picks is it's sometimes hard to like think ahead, like who's going to land to me. And so then when you're at like the 6'10", you're seeing what's happening. You're like, crap, like I got to quickly decide on these 2 picks. Sauceman's auto, that is poor guy. Clearly, I guess he's been getting auto this whole time. I don't know why he's auto. He was really involved in the chat, but you know, that's what happens. That's what happens. So like I said, appreciate everyone being here. Feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow my channel. Not that I'm trying to do this for money or anything like that, just trying to provide value because there's a ton of fantasy football content creators that provide content for me. So that's the exact same thing I'm doing. My goal here is to help you win your dynasty fantasy football leagues and your redraft fantasy football leagues, because this is what I believe. If you dive into the dynasty fantasy football content, all of a sudden you start to learn the players, you start to learn these rookies. So then you can really start to see those breakouts happening a lot earlier than some of your league mates in the redraft, those home leagues where you're doing those redrafts. So all of a sudden in the 7th, 8th round, you're getting these like Devonte Williams rookies, these J.K. Dobbins that then turn into like by the end of the season are your RB2 or your RB1, and you got them in the 7th round. And those are the type of league winning steals that you get. And so one of the ways you do that is by doing these best ball drafts, by figuring out where the values are so that when you get to those high pressure moments that can define your fantasy football league draft, that's what happens. So at the 6-12, we had AJ Dillon go, and the 7-1, we had Amari Cooper go. I think I would have still taken Elijah Mitchell just purely based on the fact that we know what he is. We know that upside. We do know they drafted TDP and Kyle Shanahan and his running backs. It's always interesting, especially on a year-to-year basis. But I still would have taken Elijah Mitchell and Ken Walker, I think, over AJ Dillon. Not to say that AJ Dillon's not going to be a stud. I mean, you see that picture that he had. Dude's calves are amazing. So Mark Cooper, hopefully he plays. Chris Godwin, 7. Mark Cooper, what I was going to say is hopefully plays with Deshaun Watson. Chris Godwin at the 7-2. Elijah Mitchell at the 7-3. Yeah, that's exactly how I would have had it going. Sauce Man is, of course, on auto, but he's having a really good draft. Tony Pollard at the 7-4. Interesting. I don't know. I still would have taken Ken Walker, CH. There's a few people I would have taken over Tony Pollard. He's really only a handcuff. Zeke's contract makes it such that they're going to be giving everyone else a lot more work. Rashad Penny at the 7-5. Are you guys trolling me? That's what happened. Interesting. I know Rashad Penny just was on a tweet saying, or there was a tweet about Rashad Penny getting 20 carries a game. I don't necessarily know if that's actually going to happen, but if that happens, it's going to be ridiculous because it's going to really make it interesting. Justin Fields at the 7-6. Freaking Trevor. I was about to draft Justin Fields. He was my go-to pick, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I think Justin Fields, the rushing upside has to be there. You're hoping that he can somehow throw the ball 200 yards a game because I don't know Velvis Jones, like a bunch of corpses, like Byron Pringle, who might be in jail or might not. I mean, Cole Kmet, like Cole Kmet better become Travis Kelsey, or else his whole thing with Justin Fields, it's going to be so sad because then next year they're going to have like the 101. They're going to have the first overall pick and they're going to draft CJ Stroud and you're going to have an awkward Ohio State reunion on the Bears. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 7-7. Still some players I would have taken over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We do not know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the starter. We also don't know if Ronald Jones is going to be taking a lot more of that early down work. And then the other key piece of this is Jerick McKinnon is still on the team. And this man did have a few great weeks. Every season he has a few great weeks. So we don't necessarily know what's going to be happening there in Kansas City, but I will be taking my bets that CEH – it's good value at the 707. I mean, I will say that, but I think I still would have taken some of these other running backs like a Ken Walker, a Kareem Hunt, or a Cordell Patterson over CEH. So Jordan is on the clock. Jordan is over here. Got to make a last-minute decision, buddy. Who are you going to be firing off here? Probably a wide receiver is my guess. Oh, Monte Brown. That's what I was feeling. That's what I was feeling for you, dude. That's what I was feeling for you. But now we get into the interesting part of the draft. Matt Ryan just went. Oh, leave it up to me to get not my guy because this is really controversial, but Deshaun Watson at the 7-10. I think in a SuperFlex league, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. That's why he has fallen this far. I would also like to clarify one thing. My wife is in the other room and absolutely hates Deshaun Watson. I am of the mindset that this man, there's a lot of shady crap that this man's been doing. If you're a massage therapist in Cleveland, Ohio, man, I would not be taking any appointments with any Browns players. Like, if I was a woman, I would be pretty disgusted. But I hate to say this because I am a man of integrity, but Deshaun Watson is a very talented NFL quarterback, and we are here to play fantasy points. And the fact of the matter is, if we're drafting Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, but yet we're still at some point, I just have to put my blinders on, and I care about fantasy football points. And Deshaun Watson, when he is playing, he's a top 10 NFL quarterback. And that is why I have Deshaun Watson there. Dustin, that's so true. Last year was my first year playing fantasy football, and I got hooked. I'm constantly watching and listening to content about players now. LOL. Yes, dude. I always I don't know. Have you ever played Dynasty fantasy football, Dustin? I think that'd be interesting. So redraft is awesome. I absolutely love redraft, but Dynasty is also so much fun. Because you do draft these players, you keep them on your team, and then you're drafting the rookies every year. So then every year from pretty much the Super Bowl to April, I'm just studying up on college players. Granted, I watch a lot of college fantasy, college football. I'm a Ohio State Buckeye fan, but at the same time, there's a lot of players that you don't see. And so being able to evaluate their tape and stuff like that. So glad you joined the fantasy football community. Glad to have you. Like I said, I'm hopefully over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a lot more mock drafts or even just fantasy football best ball drafts like this. So feel free to and subscribe to the channel. I'll put some stuff up or even just send me a message in Sleeper and I'll get you connected. So then we had Ken Walker at the 7-11. We had TJ Hawkinson at the 7-12, Michael Thomas at the 8-1, and then Juju Smith-Schuster at the 8-2. Wide receivers, there's some still there that I'm interested in. Quarterbacks, I know there's a few wide receivers that I'm interested in, but I'm going Trevor Lawrence as my second quarterback. The thing is, feeling pretty good, the fact that I got Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson with my back-to-back picks. This is sometimes what you got to do when you're doing SuperFlex leagues, but I feel like you have the upside. Trevor Lawrence, even though he didn't have a great year last year, he's still a QB2 to have that QB1 upside. Hopefully that Urban Meyer's gone. That means that all of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to be a little bit more completion heavy, and they did put more weapons around him, so that is exciting. So having Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence as my two quarterbacks makes me feel good, especially the fact that I have Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, and J.K. Dobbins, and then A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, and Justin Jefferson. Feeling pretty good about my team. And like I said, we're going to be taking a few shots on tight end later in the draft. At the 8.05, we have Rashad Bateman going. Especially with Jordan right now, this is interesting because he does have that stack with Lamar Jackson. So that is really critical too. I mean, I think Rashad Bateman has that upside. We don't necessarily know what it's going to look like. We never really seen a wide receiver. Like Hollywood Brown was always like a top 24 wide receiver, but he never became like the stud that we thought he might with the Ravens. And so Rashad Bateman behind Mark Andrews as the wide receiver 2 or the second receiving option in Baltimore is going to be interesting, but especially having that Jackson stack, definitely like that for you. D-Mac taking Devonta Smith. I do like that pick a lot for you. You do have these high, like intriguing wide receivers between Mike Williams and Devonta Smith. I think Devonta Smith gets a really bad rap if we look at actually how he performed last year. Like, dude still put up 900 receiving yards as a rookie. But the thing is, we've been so friggin' blessed with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson that we just like ignore it. And we're like, Devonta Smith puts up 900 yards as a rookie. He'll be fine. And then, of course, they had A.J. Brown. So everyone's all worried, like what's going to happen? Jalen Hurts is going to improve. Their running game is going to be like non-existent this year. So it's going to be A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. And so I would be nowhere near concerned that Devonta Smith is taking a step back. So being able to get him at the 8-6, I think is really good value in a SuperFlex draft. Dustin, I started playing Dynasty last year. I've gotten into everything this year, best ball, redraft, and Dynasty. Oh, man, I appreciate that, son, man. Means a lot. Glad to have you in here. And hopefully, feel free to like the content. If you have any disagreements, man, always comment because I'm always, like I said, not doing this full-time or anything. I do software sales in my real-life job, but this is like my fun hobby that my wife's like, why are you so passionate about like fake points and fantasy football players and watching like men demolish each other on the football field? And I don't know what to say, man. It's an interesting life. Like Thursday night, I'm busy. Sunday, whole day, like don't make plans. Like if my mother-in-law tries to make plans with me on a Sunday, I'm like, come on. Like I'm watching football, and usually I have my YouTube TV out with my NFL Red Zone on so I can see all the touchdowns. So we had Gabe Davis go, and then Dawson Knox go. So that's I've never heard Sleeper make that sound. Whatever sound that was really interesting. So Dustin, how many leagues are you in? That would also be because you get to a point too where like, I don't even count this as a league because I'm probably only going to check it every so often since it is best ball. But yeah, that would be an interesting question. Yeah. Oh man. So we got James Cook off the, he's another high potential running back that I think is really cool. So. Like I'm hearing a lot of, like this is one of my first time streaming and I'm like hearing a lot of sounds. I don't know what's actually happening. So Damon Harris at 9.2, Treylon Burks at 9.3. Treylon Burks, I think upsides right there with Sauceman. I know it's still on auto, but getting Drake London and Trey Burks, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen this year, but I think there's a ton of upside. I missed Kosher's comment. He made the comment that Tony Pollard was early. I do agree with that. Paid league 7 for this year and a lot of free best ball leagues already. Yeah. I do a lot of free best ball leagues. I was trying to do like my first like underdog best ball draft tonight, but I realized that living in Indiana, it's not like approved yet. And it's so dumb because there's not really like any best ball drafts that are available. Like, because DraftKings doesn't have it and other stuff like that. And so that was really, really upsetting. Elijah Moore at the 9.4, really like that pickup for Madden pick 6. And then Zach Ertz at the 9.5 was really impressive. So Trevor, interesting to see what you are going to do here. Dallas Goedert at the 9.7. Jordan back on the clock. Interesting to see what he does here. I don't know if people are posting. Maybe that's. Is anyone like commenting in our league chat? Okay. Dallas Goedert, Chase Edmonds, they're at 9-8. Interesting pickup there for Jordan. Another reason why I go pretty running back heavy. I'm not like a robust RB. This was Ron Stewart put together a really interesting video here recently talking about how he has moved away from the robust RB going to the hero RB. And I don't necessarily know what to think about that this year, especially considering the fact that it just feels like running back dries up really fast. But this year, wide receiver also dries up pretty fast. So I think that's something that I have to consider as especially as I'm going into these like redraft leagues, like how I want to approach that. So, so right now I am between a few different players, but I just know the upside when he comes back is going to be high. So that's why I'm taking DeAndre Hopkins at the 9-10. I think I was between Brandon Ayuk, but he's going to be the wide receiver 3, and then Garrett Wilson, just because of my Ohio State fandom. I think he's a really good prospect, but for these best balls, like I'm shooting for upside, and the fact that like Michael Thomas went before DeAndre Hopkins says a lot, especially considering the fact that we don't know if Michael Thomas is actually going to play, and DeAndre Hopkins, like, yeah, is only going to be out 6 games. I mean, dude did take like steroids, so. But hopefully, like, he doesn't need those to play, and he's still going to be an absolute monster. So, but yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, this has been fun. I usually, like I said, I record my videos, and it's like a 20-minute, 25-minute take, and then it like takes a long time to edit. So I enjoy doing these like long. Oh, that also was the sound. There was multiple sounds occurring. So, Hunter Renfrow there. Cordell Patterson, 10-1. Then, of course, we had Pat Freiermuth at the 10-2. Pat Freiermuth, I was looking at that, Eli. I was looking at that. So now I'm back up on the clock. Do I want to take a shot at tight end? I'm probably going to have to at some point. But you know what? We are here playing SuperFlex, and this is why you do it. We are taking our 3rd quarterback. We are locking it up. Ryan Tannehill, just because we do not exactly know what's happening with Deshaun Watson, and if he absolutely doesn't play this year, then I'm absolutely screwed. So I go Ryan Tannehill, but not that upset about it. Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, and then, of course, Christian Kirk Christian Kirk, I think it's going to be interesting with Trevor Lawrence there in Jacksonville. We're getting into real interesting territory. Devin Singletary at the 10-6. I think what's going to happen between him and James Cook, we're going to have to know. We're going to have to figure that one out. So, well, Dustin, if you ever have like leagues or whatever you're starting, like, feel free to send me a message. I'm trying to get into more leagues, but I'm already in so many, like the wife isn't happy about it. But if I can get into more on the down low, Cole Kmet at the 10-7. Like when we're looking at tight ends, I think Cole Kmet has that upside to be a top end tight end 8 to 7. And so being able to get him at the 10-7, I think that is really impressive there for Trevor, especially Trevor hammering quarterbacks, getting Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, and Jameis Winston. The fact that you took Jameis Winston over like Ryan Tannehill, like, says a lot, or even Zach Wilson. Like, Trevor, you're getting so much better at fantasy football. It's really impressive to see the growth, because Jameis Winston has that upside. Can he like sling it 400 yards a game? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. So we got Cole Kmet goes off at 10-7, then Chris Olave 10-8. How the mighty have fallen between Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. I think that's really good value there. Tyler Lockett at the 10-10 with Sauceman auto draft, and then Robert Woods at 10-11. I think Robert Woods secretly has high-end wide receiver 2 upside. And when you're getting that in the 10th round of a best ball draft, very valuable, very valuable. So we got Daniel Jones off the board, and then we have Whoever's going to get drafted here. So tomorrow, I'm hopefully putting out. I'm trying to get on TikTok live too, so that's another interesting thing. But I'm hoping to do more lives, especially as we get into like redraft season, answering questions on like start sits and things of that nature. So hopefully you guys tune in to more of those. But yeah, thanks so much for stopping by, sticking around. Like I said, would appreciate a subscribe and a like on this live stream so we could hopefully start to reach more people and just grow this. Like I'm trying to grow like an awesome fantasy football community. Like there's a ton out there. So like, don't that you have to choose mine because I've literally not proven anything like to show you like why I'm like better than a lot of other people. Cause I'm not better than other people, but I do enjoy talking. And like I said, my DMs are always open and I love talking trades because I think especially in Dynasty, it's a little bit hard sometimes when you're trying to evaluate, like, is my team win now? Because I've been on a lot of teams where I've sold all my assets to then go compete for a chip. And I'm also on a lot of teams where I'm taking pretty hard. So would love to help you out in any of those ways. And then especially as we're getting into redraft, those start sits, those waiver wires, those are the type of questions I'm hopefully going to be making videos about. Well, I said hopefully, like I am going to be making videos about, and we're just going to continue to dive in and grow. So yeah, let's grow together. At the 11-12, we have Jared Goff go off the board, Russell Gage at the 11-3. So just an interesting take. Russell Gage falling all the way to the 11-3, I think is impressive, especially considering the fact that Russell Gage was just an awesome receiver with Atlanta, goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's going to happen, especially with having, essentially Chris Godwin being out for the first 6 games? I think Russell Gage is really going to prove a lot of people wrong, especially considering the fact that Tom Brady essentially said that he wanted Russell Gage to join. Now I got Davis Mills at the 11-4 and Carson Wentz at the 11-5. Good value getting some starters in the 11th round. Michael Carter at the 11-6. Interesting take for Trevor, considering he doesn't have Breece Hall, so it'll be interesting to see. D-Mac taking Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota, of course, is going to be the starter for the Falcons. He does have Kyle Pitts. I think a lot of people don't understand that he kind of has that Konami code scramble quarterback ability. What's he going to do for fantasy? I think he's going to be a lot better for fantasy than he is going to be in real life, and that's exciting if you can get him as your second or third quarterback. That is your second quarterback, D-Mac, so punted quarterback a little bit, but I think that's sometimes what you have to do. You have to take those quarterbacks early and then punt them later on. But there are some still really interesting quarterbacks still available. You got Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Baker just went off the board. So we are getting into interesting territory. Sky Moore goes at the 11-9. Who do I want to take? So right now we're talking receiver or tight end. I think at this point I almost took him last, but I'm going to end up taking – Oh, gosh, do I want – I'm going to take Mike Gesicki at 11-10. I don't love it, but I'm hoping my other player falls to me at the next pick because then I'll feel good about how my team is coming on. So we have Mr. Trubisky at 11-11. So also after the draft, I will evaluate and like kind of say like who I think won the draft and who I think, could have had a better draft. But I think Mitch Trubisky at the 11-11. Eli, you better hope that you're drafting Kenny Pickett and that he falls to you. Because otherwise Brontosaurus is about to snipe you and you might only have a starting quarterback for 4 to 5 games in the NFL. I think Mitch Trubisky is really talented. I do. I think he got hated on a lot by the Bears. And I think what he showed when he was with the Bills, even just in those preseason games, like dude's talented. I think especially if you can get him as your QB2, if like you wait on quarterback in your one quarterback redraft league, like that's going to be a huge value to you. Dustin, who do you root for? Who do you cheer for in the NFL? Isaiah Spiller at 12-1, way too early. You do have Austin Eckler. Sorry, Brontosaurus. So yeah, good. I guess getting that handcuff. Running back, especially when you look at the running back landscape and you're like, man, this is nasty. It starts to get nasty really quick. So Chase Claypool off the board. I'm just like a high shooter here, and wide receiver also kind of gets nasty. So I'm taking Jameson Williams. I know he tore that ACL super late. I do know also that he's probably not going to play until week 8, week 9. But like I said, in these best ball drafts, I'm just kind of shooting for the sky because you want those high value targets. And especially when you get to the 12th round, like who are these guys that potentially could get you 15 to 20 points? And I think Jameson Williams fits in that bucket. Ronald Jones goes there at the 12-4. I think that's great value. Kadarius Toney was also in the question for me when I was considering drafting Jameson Williams. Kadarius Toney, I think, is very undervalued as a wide receiver in the NFL, especially considering the fact that he had that huge game against the Cowboys where he essentially looked like Tyreek Hill out there, but he wasn't necessarily Tyreek Hill. He was close. And of course got injured, and quarterback play was terrible. Another reason why I think a lot of these Giants weapons are really undervalued in redraft between Kadarius Toney, Saquon Barkley, and Kenny Galladay. I don't know. I don't know what to think of Kenny Galladay because I thought he was an alpha. Definitely showed that he couldn't command those targets that he was commanding in Detroit. So then you're worried, was that all Matthew Stafford? All of those kind of questions were in play. But I think the thing that we have to remember about Kadarius Toney is he's going to be the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 there on the Giants. Hopefully they improve the offensive line, so Daniel Jones will have a little bit more time to throw the ball, and maybe Brian Daboll will be able to be a quarterback whisperer and get Daniel Jones from being a quarterback 2 or a back-end quarterback in the NFL to especially being a fantasy top 15 quarterback. I think that is in the range of outcomes. I don't know how possible it is, but it is there. Then we got Hines going at 12-7. I think D-Mac, sorry, man. You got Tyler Boyd. I think that's really undervalued. Solid wide receiver 2, even though he's the wide receiver 3. Then we have Hines. He put out that workout video running 22 miles an hour today. So going to get that receiving work. I think he's a very late round dart throw that you could have for your redraft leagues as a back end, RB4, RB5 that could turn into an RB2. Jahan Dotson at 12-8. Damian Pierce at 12-9, Michael Gallup at 12-10, and then Kenny Pickett at 12-11. Casey Great with Jared Goff and Kenny Pickett back-to-back to back up Josh Allen. I think that is pretty solid because at some point this year, I assume Kenny Pickett is going to start. Eli, I don't know why you didn't draft Kenny Pickett. I know you got the stack with Chase Claypool. You just must not believe in Kenny Pickett, but I do believe in Kenny Pickett, and I do think he will take the job from Mitch Trubisky at some point because the draft capital says so and the fan base will demand it. Albert Okwo, however you say his name, Albert O goes there at the 12-12. High upside guy. Right during the hype of the whole Russell Wilson trade, Albert O was going for an early second. In dynasty leagues, I was trading that all day long. But in redraft, it'll be interesting to see. You can draft him as your tight end 2, and he has that tight end 1 upside. Christian Watson goes at 13-1. What's happening with the Packers? Why don't they have any wide receivers besides Christian Watson? And MVS, Christian Watson and Alan Lazard. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, I'd be mad. But hopefully, maybe they think Christian Watson's the guy. Alexander Madison goes at the 13-2. Alexander Madison's an interesting running back to take, especially because he is that handcuff to Dalvin Cook. When Dalvin Cook does go down. Freaking Sauceman took Noah Fant. I was hoping Noah Fant was going to fall to me. I think that was my player I wanted. Rondo Mo goes at the 13-4, and then Irv Smith at the 13-5. Trevor, I like that Robert Tonyan pick. He is a receiver for the Packers. Someone has to catch the ball. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball. So that is an interesting take. Rob Gronkowski still being so high in sleeper just tells you that people still don't believe that he's actually going to stay retired. D-Mac, I'm curious on what you're going to do here. I think you're probably going, running back or receiver? But clearly. Oh, you go Hunter Henry. You know what? I was thinking of Hunter Henry. He was on my list of names. Do I go tight end? But I don't know. I'm kind of giving it away by if you see the way I'm switching through who I'm thinking about. But my player is still there. My man is still on the board. and I'm hoping he falls to me. Jordan, I swear on everything I have, if you snipe me here, I'm coming to your house, even though you live 3 hours away. You know what? You did not snipe me, Jordan. I appreciate that, man. Jarvis Landry, what a solid pickup. What's happening with Michael Thomas? Is Chris Olave going to be real? Will Jarvis Landry just step into a wide receiver 2 role? Devontae Parker at 13-9. And my man is right there for the right taking. Rashad White, let's go, baby. I feel so good getting him in the 13th round with my current running back core. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be drafting here at 9 o'clock at night. Well, it's 8 o'clock. So 8:18 at night on a Saturday here in July in the summer. We're having a lot of fun. And Dustin, oh my gosh, you're a Dolphins fan. Did you like that Tyreek Hill trade? Like, are you excited? I would be excited. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. Mike McDaniels is just absolutely he feels like a great head coach, like a player's head coach, and that would make me excited for being a Dolphins fan. But we don't know what Tyreek Hill is going to do. And do you, so I guess I should say this. Do you actually believe in Tua? Like, was that an interesting one? Like, I think Tua, like, I just don't think he has the arm strength to actually be, a solid NFL quarterback. And I think eventually they're going to replace it. And I think they're going to regret not doing the Watson trade, even though I think it's a really bad PR thing for anyone that happened. Jordan, I was really hoping to snipe you there. I promise that I will at some point. Jordan, you always snipe me, man. You always snipe me. It's so hard not to, like, we like the same players. We talk. Jordan is one of my really good friends from college. So we kind of got started in this dynasty journey together. And so it's been really cool to just grow with him there. Hey, Kosher, Madden Pick 6, man. Hey, glad to have you here in the draft. Excited, glad that you're here. And thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. And I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you like the content. If you don't, like I said, comment and tell me you disagree. And then, like, I'll debate you. Not actually debate you, but I'll respond in the most respectful way possible. I'm on the board. Crap. And I'm going to have to take. Okay. I quickly had to just reevaluate my life because I was over here just like chatting with the chat. Honestly, since I already taken, I was going wide receiver, and there was no wide receiver that I was really confident in, so I went with Kenny Galladay, even though I just bashed him. I think getting him in the 14th round is pretty good value. We're shooting for upside here, and so that's why I think Kenny Galladay. He's got that big body. He did have a really spectacular 2019. What was it? 2020. Crazy. I can't remember how long I've been playing this game, but yeah, 2020 had a really good 2020 season, and then of course fell off last year. So hopefully he can get back to being a high-end wide receiver 2, even just a mid wide receiver 2. Because if you get him at that 14 in the 14th round of a best ball draft, super impressive. Then we have David Njoku go off. I think in a tight end premium league, David Njoku has a lot of upside with the Deshaun Watson. Maybe I should have taken him, to stack with my Deshaun Watson, but that's okay. Kenneth Gainwell at the 14-5. I don't like any Eagles running back this year, but I mean, at this point you're chasing upside and hoping that Miles Sanders gets injured, which he does quite a bit, and that they're going to give the ball to Kenneth Gainwell. Tyler Algier at the 14-6. Dustin, that was a really good pick. I do like me some Tyler Algier. Hopefully he beats out Cordell Patterson, or they actually give him the ball there in Atlanta. Tyler Higbee at the 14-7, Hayden Hurst at the 14-8, and Evan Ingram at the 14-9. I like Evan Ingram the most. I think he has the most upside. If anyone know how Doug Peterson uses his tight ends, Evan Ingram is going to fit in right there. 14-10, James Robinson. I know it's autoed, but I hate that pick, especially considering the fact that James Robinson tore that Achilles pretty late into the season. He is not Cam Akers. He is not going to return to being the top, running back 1 or whatever. And Travis Etienne is just going to steal the job away from him. So James Robinson at that point feels like waste. I feel like I would have taken a few other running backs over him. Then we have Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper is in Tennessee. It is a surprise pick, meaning like he is like a sleeper. I think Austin Hooper is definitely going to be a sleeper this year for tight ends because you are wanting that upside that potentially happens. And with Treylon Burks and Robert Woods there, who else is there to catch the ball? And what happens? I have Derrick Henry on a lot of teams, and so I don't want to say this. So, like, I'm knocking – my desk is made of wood, and so I'm knocking on wood so Derrick Henry doesn't get injured. But what happens if they have to throw the ball a ton? Like, who are they going to throw to? And what happens if Treylon Burks is a bust? I think Austin Hooper has a lot of upside, sneaky upside. So if you're in those redraft leagues, we'd be going for that. Jalen Tolbert at 14-12, good pickup there. Dustin, this year. A fair shot yet to show his full potential. Yeah, no, I see that. I see that. I think he does have that upside. I know I just batched on like his arm strength, but he does have a ton of accuracy. So maybe if he can put that accuracy, but get that A-dot a little farther down the field, good things are going to happen. And now he's got the best weapons he ever had. So hopefully they use Tyreek Hill like Deebo Samuel, and Tyreek Hill can go crazy, and maybe the Dolphins will be relevant for like the first time in a few seasons. Because I really think Mike Flores got a bad rap, or Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores got a terrible rap there in the Dolphins organization. But who am I? I am just a man in Indiana, Ohio, or I'm a man sitting here in Indiana talking about fantasy football. So I clearly don't get paid to make the big boy decisions. We have Robbie Anderson at 15-4, Josh Palmer, Tim Patrick, KJ Osborne, and then Marlon Mack. You know what, Jordan? I was thinking potentially about Marlon Mack. I really was. He was on the list of boards, but he wasn't like my main guy that I was looking at. So that was nice. That was nice of you to leave him for me. What am I doing here? I only have one tight end, so I should probably think about that. But I see my guy at tight end, and no one's going to pick him in stereo, but I'm going to lock up the Ravens backfield with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Now, both of those guys are injured right now, probably going to be and start the season on the pup. But once those boys get back, that's going to be smooth sailing there. So glad I locked up one backfield at least. Feeling pretty good about my roster so far. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, waiting on a quarterback, I think this proves like I think there's a lot more talented quarterbacks. So I'm not saying this and if Deshaun Watson doesn't play this year, like still only having Trevor Lawrence and Ryan Tannehill is risky business. But it makes me feel better knowing that like at least my running backs and my wide receivers have the upside to potentially still carry me if my quarterbacks are only quarterback twos.
Oh, come on, dude.
Man, I blame my brother. He just quit the draft on us. I'm just kidding. So we got Jacoby Myers was autoed, and then Mark Ingram, and then Sammy Watkins, Jamal Williams, and then I am back on the board here. You know, I probably should go tight end, and nobody's like screams like exciting. I think everyone would say like, okay, Rob Gronkowski's out, get Cameron Brate. But like Cameron Brate, like if you actually look how he's performed, even when he's like the tight end one, it's not good at all. So I'm going to take the upside shot with Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan was a third-round pick from the University of Miami, has that upside, has that elite athleticism that we tend to look for as a tight end. And going into year two, I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. Davis Mills to Brandon Cooks, but who besides Brandon Cooks is there to catch the ball? And I think Brevin Jordan has a good shot. And that is someone that I'm taking. I would honestly take Brevin Jordan's in that same range as like an Njoku, an Everett. I'd probably take him before Tyler Higbee and Hayden Hurst. So like, that's kind of like the range that I have Brevin Jordan in. A lot of people aren't hyping him up because he didn't necessarily perform, but I would argue that the people that we're also talking about have not actually performed either. So I'm betting on the prospect, betting on the targets that are there, and hoping it works out. Because that's the other thing. I chase volume. That's what I want. I want a lot of guys that you could see how they could get the workload that would then produce the fantasy points, because otherwise it's not necessarily going to work. We got DJ Chark going off at 16-4. DJ Chark, I don't know necessarily how I feel about DJ Chark because I loved him when he was at the Jags. He underperformed, and then, of course, goes to Detroit, where he is going to be behind Amon St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and TJ Hawkinson, and he's going to be the fourth receiving option. Not that much upside to me there. Logan Thomas. Jordan, I really like Logan Thomas. I was honestly kind of between him and Brevin Jordan, but I went with the Brevin Jordan, went with the younger route. Hopefully Logan Thomas can return from that injury. He is tall, he is elite, and hopefully he can get some touchdowns with having Carson Wentz, which is arguably one of the better quarterbacks that he's had in his career. I know he's like 30 years old, so I forget where he played before he played in Washington, so I was trying to clarify that. But he's been the best quarterback that he's played with in Washington. Jamison Crowder, solid pick at the 16-6, Raheem Mostert at the 16-7, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones at the 16-8. Like I said, right now we are getting into no man's land. I think a lot of people are like, why are we doing 23 rounds. Well, in best ball, you got to draft all these guys because there is a chance that some of these guys go off. This is where if you don't know your stuff, it could get a little dicey for you. But you're quickly going to be learning a lot of these guys' names. So it's why you draft good early so that these picks you can start throwing darts, hoping that these darts turn into bullseyes and that the bullseyes win you the league. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for being here. Feel free to like and subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Really helps out the channel as I'm continuing to grow. We are going to be doing a lot more lives like this. So we're going to be doing, sleeper league, sleeper drafts. I would love to do underdog drafts, but currently right now, underdog is not available in Indiana. So I can sadly not be throwing my good old hard-earned cash towards drafts. So I'm just doing free leagues for now. I will be releasing a lot of rankings here coming up. So feel free to subscribe to the channel so that once we get to redraft season, you do have the pros rankings, but you also have my rankings so that when you get there and you're trying to determine, do I draft Travis Etienne or do I draft Alvin Kamara? You know who to draft. And if anyone did not know who I was going to say there, you do not know me, and that is okay. I would be drafting Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne, the upside's ridiculous. Dude is going to be getting all the receiving work in the Jacksonville Jaguars system, and just hopefully he's 100% healthy. So I think a lot of preseason will show that, but I think otherwise they're just going to be pounding the rock to Travis Etienne. We have Brian Robinson and Zamir White going off back-to-back. I think those are good picks, especially when you're getting to these kind of back-end tailbacks that are backups, you're getting those handcuffs. Darrell Williams, so underrated. What do I say about Darrell Williams other than the fact that he killed it for me last year in fantasy? You picked him up off the waiver wires. I think that's another reason why. Okay, Rob Gronkowski goes to 73, John Mechie 74, and then Deontay Foreman at the 17.5. You can always pick up these guys. When you're doing your regular redraft leagues, so not best ball, but when you're doing your regular redraft leagues, you can always find these running back twos, these running back ones on your wire. So another reason why I'm leaning a lot more this year towards doing like a hero RB build where I draft like one top running back in the top 2 to 3 picks, because I know that when you're playing with your average fellow mates that don't watch fantasy football content and only do this for 6 months a year, that you're going to be able to beat them to a lot of these up-and-coming running backs that then will provide that RB2 value as long as you're staying aware and seeing exactly what's happening. We have Corey Davis going off at the 17.6. Don't necessarily know what's going to be happening with Corey Davis. He's kind of buried on the depth chart. Sonny Michel in Miami. I think that is interesting, Dustin, especially considering the fact that with Mike McDaniel, they love to rotate those running backs in. So between Chase Edmonds, Myles Gaskin, and Sonny Michel, I would be ranking them Chase Edmonds, Sonny Michel, and then Myles Gaskin. So I like that value. And Sonny Michel, even though he really played really bad last year, like he was only averaging 3 yards per carry, I think he did have those flashes where you're like, oh, like he still is something. I mean, he might just still be a Jag, but when you're getting him in the 17th round as a backup running back, super impressive. So I am about to be back on the board. And I'm trying to determine what I want to do. Like not having it so like you can see like here. Oh, I guess I can see my roster. Sorry to anyone in the chat as I'm scrolling down. Marvin Jones, like that pick. Jordan with David Bell. You kind of did snipe me a little bit, but that's okay. Wide receivers is a wasteland now. Tight ends. But, oh, man. Okay, Curtis Samuel. I do love me some Curtis Samuel. Everyone's not remembering what he did with the Panthers 2 years ago, and then, of course, last year gets hurt. So I think Curtis Samuel is going to show a lot of people that he's solid, and they're going to be using him a lot of different ways because, of course, they drafted Jahan Dotson. They still have Terry McLaurin, still have Logan Thomas. So I think you're going to see a lot of backfields. You're going to see a lot of misdirections that are happening here with Curtis Samuel. And they're going to give him 8 to 10 touches a game, I imagine. So, and maybe not 8 to 10 touches, maybe 6 to 8 touches. And if that is anything, getting him in the 17th round as your wide receiver 5 or 6, like shoot that shot. Eli, as long as you don't take my player, that's all that I care about. I think you know who I want, but that's okay. Just don't take him. Don't take him at all. Oh, my man. Are you not in? Are you not drafting? Oh my gosh. Come on, brother. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone wants to move it to a 30-second clock, but we'll see what happens if everyone wants to or not.
Come on.
Kosher, where are you from? What how are you enjoying your summer / getting ready for fantasy football? At this point, Chuba Hubbard goes 17-11. I think it's underrated the fact that they signed Deontay Foreman. So I think that kind of kills Chuba Hubbard's upside. Jimmy Garoppolo going for Brontosaurus. I think just taking those shots at the back end quarterbacks that could potentially help you. At this point in the draft, I'm typically waiting on. I'll take a shot on like a rookie or someone else, but typically I'm trying to get all those upside shots, and that's probably not going to happen at quarterback. This is a super flex. Like what happens? Like a quarterback or wide receiver goes off, gets more points than all my quarterbacks, and then they end up in my starting line. Oh, Brontosaurus, Cameron Brate was who I wanted. I thought I was gonna get sniped by someone else, but oh man, now I gotta really rethink and redecide how I'm going about this. So wait. I thought Chuba Hubbard got picked. Maybe I'm going crazy and he didn't get picked. But anyway, here I am. Big decisions. These will change. And I am going with KJ Hamler, just banking off the fact that he is playing with Russell Wilson. Someone in front of him gets hurt, and all of a sudden he goes from being the wide receiver 4 to the wide receiver 3 or the wide receiver 2. I think he's got that upside. Desmond Ritter, 18-4. I do think about Desmond Ritter. I think I just know the quarterback he is and acknowledge that it's probably not going to happen for him. Paris Campbell at the 18-5. Jordan, of course, drafting a typical Colt play. Paris Campbell, is he going to ever play? Is his injuries ever going to show that he's a solid player? We all know who he was at Ohio State. Dude was a speedster. Me and Jordan were at a Indiana game when Paris Campbell caught it on a slant and ran 60 yards to the touchdown. So Jordan's seen it up close and personal. I've seen it up close and personal. I've seen it watching all the Ohio State Buckeyes games. Paris Campbell's talented. He just has ankles that are made of glass. So hopefully they're not made of glass. And he's like figured out how to cement those bad boys so he doesn't get hurt. Kendrick Bourne, 18-6. Nikhil Westbrook, however you say his last name, 18-7. Randall Cobb, Jonnu Smith, McBride. We're just getting into interesting territory here. You're just shooting for upside. Whoever you think that is. Roster construction doesn't even matter. Hopefully you're not looking for running backs at this point because you're not going to find them. We got 5 more rounds, but like I said, we're at the point where we're just trying to cement these teams, get these upside picks. When you're looking for a roster construction perspective, maybe just adding a few extra depth pieces. Hopefully it works out. Like there's interesting players that I don't know what people are necessarily feeling or thinking about. Like Taysom Hill's an interesting one at tight end for New Orleans. You got like running backs where you're like Dearness Johnson's interesting, but then you also have like Chris Carson or Trey Sermon. Like Trey Sermon was a 3rd round pick. And so those are all, yeah. Yeah, I think we're also, if anyone's following. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm liking my team so far. I know I'm just hyping it up because I'm talking to myself, but yeah, Deshaun. Ooh, Dustin. There's one running back that could have major upside. You know what? I think I know who you're talking to. Well, you know what? You draft him first. Dustin, and then you let me know exactly who it is because I guess I could be showing what you're saying here instead of like just seeing your comment. But you draft him first, and then you let me know exactly like who it is and what his upside is. Because this is my thing. I think I see two. It just depends on how you evaluate upside. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I couldn't believe Thornton got the draft capital that he got. I don't think he's going to be good for the Patriots because they never know how to use wide receivers, but I'm happy that he got that second round draft capital over, I think he got picked over like Alec Pierce and stuff, which is crazy. Jelani Woods, really like that pick. Chuba Hubbard at 19.3. Bellinger, Nico Collins at 19.5. I thought Nico Collins, I like the potential that Nico Collins has, especially considering the fact that he was an amazing prospect heading into college, going to the University of Michigan, really underperforming just due to quarterback play and their overall offense. As we look at him in Houston, of course, Brandon Cooks and Brevin Jordan are there, so he'll be the third on the pecking order. Hopefully he can ball out this year. AJ Green at the 19.6. And then, Dustin, this is your time to shine. Hopefully you get your guy that you've been talking about and you leave one for me. And hopefully Jordan doesn't snipe me. I don't know. Oh, whoa. My man said he had one running back that had major upside. Was that Chuba Hubbard? Was that our man Chuba? However you say his name? Or did you pass because you didn't feel like you needed a running back? And you took your Miami high upside Cedric Wilson. I don't know. I don't know. I think I can wait a little longer. Well, yeah. I mean, everyone here. If someone gets hurt. I think I know who you're talking about, and I'm not going to say it, but. And I am now on the board. Quarterbacks are looking slim, not intriguing by anyone. Wide receivers are looking not impressive. I'm going Taysom Hill as a tight end. I think Taysom Hill has upside as a tight end. I think we've seen the athlete he is when he just takes off and runs. So maybe he can catch some passes, especially get him in the 19th round. Might as well take that shot because he's not really a pass blocker. He's almost always a pass catcher. So excited to see exactly what happens with Taysom Hill. Brontosaurus has been here the whole time, having a good draft. Drafted Jimmy Garoppolo and Cameron Brate, the last two picks. I'll be interested to see what he sees. I think he probably goes running back or wide receiver. No one better snipe me here. I know what I want to do, and no one better snipe me. If someone snipes me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just quit the stream with my,
Come on.
But, okay, Geno Smith off the board. That was not the player I was looking to go with. The problem is if I let you, Dustin, have who I think your sleeper is, it's going to make me a little sad because I like this guy a lot. But I really like this guy. Jordan, how are you feeling about your draft? You feel like you're doing good? Is Trevor here too? Is Trevor in the... I feel like, Jordan, you're having a pretty good draft.
Come on.
Okay. So it's me. I'm up the bat. And I am taking Hassan Haskins. Got to get that back up to Derrick Henry. That was my that's not the sleeper I wanted, Dustin. So hopefully you don't take, hopefully you think you have more time. Jordan is on the clock, but he's not available. Not paying attention here. There's some interesting like wide receiver sleepers like a Velvis Jones or an Amari Rodgers. I really like Braxton Paris going into last offseason or this offseason before they, of course, drafted Garrett Wilson. I thought Braxton Paris has a ton of potential. And maybe he still does because in the reality, they're probably not throwing Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson all out on the same time. Maybe so. Maybe they'll have Elijah Moore play the slot. But I feel like Elijah Moore killed it as an outside receiver. So maybe Braxton Paris will get a shot. Mo Alec Cox. Man, Jordan's just hitting up all of his Indianapolis Colts players. All of his Colts players. Ooh, Dustin, is this it? Oh, Haskins was going to be your pick there, Jordo. Okay, I feel that. Well, I needed Haskins. I have Henry, so I was like, I need to shore that up. D-Mac going with Julio Jones, not on the team yet, but there's no way he's not. Samaje Perine, Chris Evans, don't like those guys. Samaje Perine, I think, cost the Bengals the Super Bowl. But they kept putting him out there instead of Joe Mixon. Braxton Berrios, like that pick. I guess Dearness Johnson at the 2010. Malik Willis, we're shooting for upside here, boys. Shooting for upside. Shooting for players that potentially could give you a week of 10 points. That's essentially what we're looking for here because it is getting real rough. It is getting real rough in the streets. It's been rough, but now it has like fallen and it's dark and you are nowhere near safety. And so you're just choosing whatever, whatever situation feels best for you. Are you going to hide under a rock? Are you going to hide in a plastic box? Like those are the type of decisions we're trying to decide between because there is no Lexus, there's no convertible, there is no penthouse apartment. No, we are purely shooting for upside. That might not even be there. Like is Adam Trautman, like a lot of people were hyping up Adam Trautman last year and we saw he didn't really do anything. So is he going to do anything this year? I don't know. Dude, Semper has been here the whole time. Poor guy just Sam Darnold. And then I do like Sam Darnold. Like I know he absolutely sucked last year for Carolina and he kind of sucked with the Jets and pretty much has had a really sucky career. But what if Baker doesn't perform? I mean, I think Sam Darnold will probably at some point get a shot unless Baker proves to be an absolute stud. And the fact that you're getting Sam Darnold with the question marks, in the 20th round compared to when did Baker go? In the 11th round, so almost 9 rounds later, that's enough to, like, that's good value. That is good value. But Dustin, I swear, if you take the guy that I'm taking him this round, so you better take whoever sleeper you think it is, because I'm shooting my shot this round with who I'm high on. Let me see my roster. Brian Edwards, CJ Uzomah off the board, Sam Howell. Trevor's on the clock. I think he autoed last time, so I'm surprised they didn't put him on auto again. Maybe he just checked his phone. But yeah, we are hopefully I'm putting out a Drew Brees, Trevor. You know what, Trevor? I'm not gonna roast you on this stream. I'm not gonna roast you and tell like the good people, oh snap, Matt Breida, NY. Oh, I see. Yeah, what he did with the Buffalo Bills, Dustin, was absolutely incredible. That one game, I threw him in. He had like 12, 15 points. Like all the beat writers were saying, Breida was going to get a chance, and then he actually did. No, that was not my sleeper. That was not my sleeper, but it's okay. No, that was my sleeper. Scoop Connor. Crap. That was the player I wanted. Crap. Jones, are you watching the stream and sniping me like that? That was dirty. That was dirty, my friend. Crap. Now I got to go in a whole different direction than I was planning on doing it. Okay, we're just gonna. I don't feel good about any of these options. I do like Benjamin quite a bit. I do like Keyshawn Vaughn, but we're talking like third string running backs at this point. I'm just praying something happens and Trey Sermon can get out of the doghouse. And I'm already back on the clock. Look at that. Sterling Shepard did perform pretty good early in the season. Any quarterbacks that I'd want to take a shot on as a potential? No, I think I'm. None of these feel good. I got 27 seconds. I can think about this a little bit more. I do like Shakir for the Bills. It's between him and Elvis Jones. So I don't know which one I'm going to take. I think I'm just, but Elvis Jones is like 26 years old. Ooh, oh man. Okay, I'm going with Elvis Jones and not thinking about it. Just thinking that hopefully somehow he gets the ball from Justin Fields. Dustin says Snoop was a good one too. I wasn't even thinking of him earlier. Oh yeah. That's who I was thinking about. That's who I thought you were mentioning. But Jalen Guyton goes next. One more round. I need to count my. So I got 3 tight ends. I don't know. I feel like this back half has really killed me in how I feel like my overall team has done. But we're just gonna, this is just a best ball draft. It's a free draft, so we're practicing for the end goal of eventually doing like a lot more of these. So, like I said, we're doing this. This is Saturday. Next Saturday, we're gonna be doing another one of these. So, if you follow the channel, leave a comment on this live stream, and then next week I will send you an invite if you want to do another best ball draft exactly like this. They're all going to be free. The only thing we're doing best ball, so you don't ever have to check it. And then, of course, we're practicing for our redraft leagues with our home leagues, or two, we'll be doing a lot more dynasty startups. So maybe we'll do a dynasty startup mock as well at some point. Nathan Peterman. Okay, Trevor's just joking around right now. Hilliard, Batty. I do like Tyler Batty a lot for the Baltimore Ravens. Adam Troutman at a good late round value. Isaiah McKenzie. The Buffalo wide receivers, I think I would have taken Shakir over McKenzie, but that's kind of how it is. Oh, Kosher Dude, yeah, of course, man. I will for sure hit you up as you are Madden pick 6. So I'll hit you up. I'm sorry did you mean to get out of there? Yeah, sorry about that. With these 60-second clocks. But yeah, this went pretty fast. I know we started like an hour and a half ago, but the fact that we've only been streaming for an hour and 30 minutes, feels like it was a breeze compared to our other drafts. But yeah. Also, I probably should have asked if you guys could see the draft board. That's on me. Semper out here taking all his time up, drafting Sterling Shepard. That's impressive. Sterling Shepard I almost last year had like 20 points and like 15 points. And I needed a wide receiver on one of my dynasty teams pretty bad. I needed a wide receiver 4. And I almost thought about flipping a second for Sterling Shepard. And then it was like the next week he tore his Achilles and I was like, I'm good. Like I'm so glad I didn't do it because he's a good player. Just that Achilles injury, and I think he's now like 29. That's the other thing. Like I feel like we all thought Sterling Shepard was like super young just because he was young at one point, and then I guess I never added up his age until recently and realized that he's 29. I'm glad you took Shakir there. That's a pick that if he would have fallen to me at the end of this draft, I probably would have taken him. Ooh, Tyler Huntley, Darrell Williams, Teddy Bridgewater. I did think about Teddy Bridgewater last round. Now we're just taking random quarterbacks. Maybe Phillip Rivers will return. Does Matt Barkley even still play in the NFL? It just feels like he doesn't actually. There's some interesting running backs though still, like Rex Burkhead. It's an interesting one. I didn't even see is my running back still there that Todd Gurley still open? I talked about one in my head and then I never went back and checked to see if he was still there. I probably should have taken him last round. I would have taken him over Velvis Jones, but this is what happens. Oh, Byron Pringle. Solid pickup. Solid pickup there, Dustin. Solid pickup. Benjamin. He is solid. The problem is nobody listened to me earlier when I did a take on one of these guys, and I am going to draft him here if I do not get sniped by good old Jones. 1-3-4-3. Wonder if that has, oh, no, OJ Howard, he was in my mind, but I am going to be taking Jerick McKinnon. KC, I think I mentioned, potentially might start. So anyway, Jerick McKinnon's got sneaky upside. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't turn out how he's supposed to turn out, and then you have, of course, CEH. I guess I just said Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm talking about the same player, but CEH still doesn't have maybe that same upside. And then Ronald Jones, is he just going to be the bruiser? Like Jerick McKinnon has shown that he is a valuable asset if he plays and if he does well. So Jerick McKinnon, interesting player. James White, last pick there for Eli. Don't know what's happening. It's in the Patriots backfield. It's so freaking muddy. It's kind of ridiculous. And then Brontosaurus with the final pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Who is this player going to be? We all stayed here for it. So Calvin Ridley, not going to play this year, so not going to help you at all. But anyway, boys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by the live stream. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. I appreciate all the support. Like I said, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, feel free to do so. Really helps out the channel as we continue to grow. And I will be putting out a YouTube short tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting one. And like I said, continue to grind, and we will be back next week with another draft. Thanks so much. See you soon.